Welcome to the P.A.S. Report podcast. If you're tired of censorship, outraged by government abuses, and thirsty for real insights, then you're in the right place. Get ready, because here, the fight for freedom never ends. Here's your host, Professor Nick Giordano.
What's up, everyone, and welcome to the P.A.S. Report podcast. This is your host, Nick Giordano. I am glad you could join me. Make sure to follow and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. Also, visit the P.A.S. Report website, pasreport.com, and share this episode with others, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there, when you look at the crazy world we're living in, where the left just attempts to systemically destroy conservatives. They try and marginalize them. They try and shape them as social outcasts. And so I could think of no better guest to have on than Gloria Giorno. She is the founder of the Reagan Society and the author of Outcast, How the Radical Left Tried to Destroy a Young Conservative. Gloria, welcome back to the program. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. It's great to be back with you, Nick.
Well, I'm glad you could be here. I mean, you know, the story of your son, Stevie, and what you guys had to face when he went off to college, a young conservative who they tried to destroy. Have things gotten better or worse? We'll start there.
In my opinion, things have gotten worse. It seems that during the Biden regime, as I call it, we opened up the door to communism more so than anything else. And what we've learned is during COVID, as well as with Biden in the White House, we've learned that our teachers are not only indoctrinating, but we've also learned that we have school counselors that are teaching our children to go against family, to go against our country, to go against freedom. And so, in my opinion, things have gotten very, very bad. And especially now with the passing of Charlie Kirk, with Charlie's murder. I mean, we see the aggression and the anger, and we see how difficult it is to raise conservative children and keep them conservative, because all we're doing is, I mean, when you see death, students get scared. Everyone gets scared to speak out, but we're still doing it, and we have to. So we have to keep fighting the good fight.
It's so important what you say, because when we look at it, I mean, first of all, let's look at conservatism. It preaches about limited government, fiscal responsibility, understanding that America is an exceptional nation. I mean, these aren't concepts that are all that radical, right? Believing in the Constitution of the United States and what the founders tried to uphold is not something that's radical, but yet the left has been able to do it. And even worse is they hijacked the academic system to do it. What do you think is the biggest threat to the American identity right now? Do you think it's coming from government and the bureaucracy, academia, corporate America? What do you think is the biggest threat?
I think the biggest threat we face right now as parents for our next generation is AI. We do not know what's real. We do not know what's fake. Right now, they are working on ways to have teachers be robots, be all AI fed. Once that happens, that means that if we have communists in control of our government, which basically Democrats, if you're a Democrat today, you're a communist. And if they are going to be controlling the teachers, AI, in schools, our children are going to only learn communism. The Constitution, freedom, everything is out the window. They are going to be more indoctrinated than they have been now by real people. But we will not know the difference. As parents, you and I will not know the difference anymore. And unfortunately, the next generation is going to pay that price. I mean, we see what happened in New York City. I mean, how in this country could we possibly elect in New York City a communist to be mayor starting at the beginning of this year? How does that happen? I mean, we don't see anyone from this country trying to escape and go to Venezuela and go to any communist country. They're all fleeing here. We're trying to clear out our country. We're trying to do something. I mean, Tom Homan is an amazing human being who's done so much for our country right now. And New Yorkers, and mostly women, young women between the ages of 18 and 32, 75% of them voted for a communist, an Islamic communist, to run New York. It's incredible to me. And the only thing I can attribute that to is social media, TikTok. It's social media. I mean, the left is just running free with social media, and our kids are no longer looking to family and parents. As a matter of fact, they're pulling away from family, and they're allowing social media to dictate their lives.
It is crazy, especially when you look at the November elections where a communist has taken over the financial capital of the world, where the Democratic Party, and I say that, come that election, the Democratic Party is no longer the Democratic Party. It's now the Democratic Socialist Party of America, because let's face it, that's what Mamdani said. That is his political party, that he's a member of it. And the DSA is going to push the agenda forward. Getting back to AI, because I think that's really important. It's not being spoken about enough. One of the big problems I see is the lack of students to be able to think critically. So, and this has opened the door to indoctrination. This has been going on for a while, but students are less and less able to think critically because they've outsourced their education to these AI systems, essentially, to do the homework, to write the papers for them. And when we look at the algorithms, obviously they all lean left. How did conservatives fall asleep at the wheel and let just about every single institution be hijacked by leftists?
How did they? Because conservatives became complacent. They believed what they were seeing. They believed what they were reading. I mean, wokeness did not start in 2020. America has slowly been becoming woke for the last 20 to 30 years. But until COVID shut down every school, we didn't see that. Parents didn't see it. But interestingly, parents are not fighting hard enough right now to even stop it.
Why do you think that is?
I think that they feel that the government is going to take care of it. President Trump is an amazing human being who I was proud to be elected. In Tennessee, you get elected to be a delegate for President Trump. And I'm proud to have been elected, and I served on platform. And President Trump is an amazing leader, but he cannot do it alone. And unfortunately, I do believe that parents look to him to fix all the problems of our country alone. But he can't do it. He needs our help to do it. But we're not giving him the help that he needs. We need first off, in my opinion, we need to get rid of the Department of Education. If President Trump could get rid of that and give education back to the states, I feel things would be different. I live in a red state. I do feel that the education system in my state would be completely different because it is just as woke as any other state. And I do think that our teachers need to be vetted better. And we need to get back to teaching reading, writing, arithmetic, and history, the way it actually happened, not the way that Mamdani and communists say it happened, because that is a lie. We are basically allowing our children to be taught a lie. And that cannot continue, because if it does, you and I will be living in the communist country that I grew up in.
It's crazy to think about. Over 4,000 school districts adopted elements of the 1619 Project, even though the 1619 Project has been debunked, not just from scholars on the right, but also scholars on the left. It's a myth that never really existed. And when we look at this component, the history aspect of it, most students today throughout the entire country could not pass a basic citizenship exam. They understand little about the concept of federalism. They've never read the Constitution. They've never read the Declaration of Independence. And it's partially of how we got to this moment. But we need to take a quick break. When we get back, I want to talk about your personal story more, because it shows how narratives can quickly be weaponized against people. So everyone, hang tight, and we'll be right back. Are you ready to move easily and independently without pain and stiffness holding you back? Do you want to look in the mirror and see a hydrated glow instead of more fine lines and wrinkles? Well, discover Native Path Collagen, made with only type 1 and 3 collagen fibers. These are the two most important types that make up 90% of the collagen found in your cartilage, bones, skin, hair, nails, and gut. They provide maximum benefits. And Native Path Collagen is a single ingredient formula with no fillers, additives, or artificial sweeteners. Plus, it's third-party tested for heavy metals, ensuring purity and safety. Completely flavorless, Native Path Collagen can be added to anything: coffee, smoothies, smoothies, oatmeal, you name it. It doesn't clump, it absorbs fast thanks to its peptide formula. And the best part, Native Path offers amazing bundle deals at a fraction of the price of other brands. With over 4 million jars sold, 1 million happy customers, 8,000 5-star reviews, and a 365-day no-risk guarantee, Native Path is a brand you could trust. They offer an 800 number for any questions you may have, and then you'll speak to a real person who's there to help. Visit getnativepath.com/PAS and start your transformation today. That's getnativepath.com/PAS. Welcome back to the PAS Report. I'm with Gloria Giorno, author of a great book, Outcast, How the Radical Left Tried to Destroy a Young Conservative. She's the founder of the Reagan Society. Gloria, I have to ask you, because your personal story of what happened to Stevie on the college campus, it shows how narratives can be weaponized to destroy someone. Do you believe that the left strategy today is intentional political targeting in order to make people afraid to speak up and speak out?
Yes, I definitely do. I think that it started with, in 2020, my son was silenced. He put up a non-political post for the first time. He put up a non-political post on his personal public Instagram page. And it's simply a picture of him in front of a White House. I took the picture in front of a White House. He posted it on the 4th of July, and he thanked our forefathers for our freedoms. Nothing political, nothing wrong with that. Our forefathers should be thanked for our freedoms. It is the 4th of July. As Americans, this is what we celebrate. Well, that was met with 300 comments. Go kill yourself. You're a terrible person. It got to the point where our son had to be escorted by police officers when he was on campus at a conservative Christian university called Belmont University in Tennessee, which is a free state. And it's a red state. And it should not happen to anyone. And so it got to the point where Stevie was asked not to attend classes. He was asked not to hold any student government meetings because he was the president of a school, the student body at that point. And it just went from there. They wanted to silence him. They wanted to cancel our son. If you know our son, he's not going to be canceled. He's his mother's child, for better or for worse, that's who he is. But we will never be canceled. And he knows that my dad fled communist Yugoslavia in 1956, and he came to America. My dad knew 3 languages, so he went to night school as soon as he got here. There was no handout. There was no help. He waited for 2 years to come to this country in a camp. So he finally got here in 1956, and he was able to go to night school to learn English. He got a job with a company that was an Italian company because Italian was one of the languages he did speak. He did not take money from anyone. And my father lived the American dream for 57 years until the day he died. My father called himself a proud American. So we grew up with these stories from my dad. And in 1972 to 1973, I consistently stayed in Yugoslavia. And I went to first grade at a U.S. Embassy school. My mother was a Fulbright scholar and from the University of Chicago. And she was a translator for the U.S. Embassy. And so I walked to school every day at the age of 6. But I knew the perils of living in a communist country. And every day when I went to school, I had $1,000 US. Now, this is 1972, so that's a lot of money back then. I had $1,000 US with me in my backpack so that if a civil war were to break out, I knew exactly what cap to get into. I knew exactly how to get out of Yugoslavia and get to Italy, where one of my aunts would find me and I would be safe. I also knew that every single police officer that I passed, and trust me, we're on every corner, every police officer that I passed as I was going to school, he wasn't there to protect me. He wasn't there to protect, anyone on the street. He was there to make sure that no one spoke out against the regime, the communists in control, who was Josip Broz Tito at the time. And my uncle Mike, he was actually put in jail for speaking out against the communists, and he was to be hanged. He and his brother both were to be hanged. Fortunately, they were able to escape from this makeshift jail that they were put in for weeks. They were able to escape, and they fled to Lyon, France. And my uncle did eventually come here as well. So I grew up, my cousins and I, we grew up hearing these stories of how communism silences you. How, yeah, I remember when I was young, I can tell you I had chickenpox in it's now Croatia in Yugoslavia. And I can tell you I wasn't diagnosed by a doctor, because to see a doctor, you have to wait the longest time. You can't just get in to see a doctor. There is no such thing as free health care. It doesn't exist. So a pharmacist diagnosed me with chickenpox. I can also tell you that there is people think that there's free schooling. There are free groceries, as Mondami is telling us in New York. There's going to be free groceries. There is nothing free. There is the haves and the have-nots. And if you are not up there with the communist regime, you are a have-not. So this free education that people think they're going to be getting, the free food, the free healthcare, it does not exist. That comes at the price of your freedom. And
Yeah, a lot of them don't realize that.
People don't realize that. It's like when you take your children to the zoo and you see a lion that's in a cage. He may not see the cage because they're not cages like they used to be when you and I were kids. They're now, glass and whatnot. So the lion doesn't really know that he's actually in a cage. He is in a limited space. That's what communism is. You don't see the cage, but that's what you're in. In America, that lion that's out in Montana, able to wander wherever he wants, he's free. That's freedom. What you're seeing at a zoo is communism. They want to put us all in that zoo.
100%. I mean, it's dependency on the system to make you a slave of the state. And given your life experiences, given what you saw growing up, the stories from your parents and grandparents and what it was like, we constantly hear young people say the system is oppressive, it's broken, it's unjust. What are your thoughts when you hear that? Especially that, the American dream, your family lived the American dream.
Children here, they don't know how good they have it. Young people don't understand how good they have it in America. But New York is about to find out, and it'll be a good example for the rest of the country to see. Because it's you know exactly what's going to happen, and you and I are going to watch it play out. But I do believe that between TikTok, which I
got a front row seat right here.
But between TikTok and social media, Instagram, I mean, all these influencers are young people who have never been to a communist country, much less lived in one and attended school or needed health care in one. They don't seem to understand, but it's also media, mainstream media. That's another one. I mean, we can't rely on mainstream media. We cannot even allow on the government to tell us the truth. I mean, look at COVID. COVID was an excellent example of the lengths that people will go to, the government will go to get people to comply. I mean, I'm not a mandate person. If you feel that the vaccine was good for you, God bless you. If you feel it wasn't, God bless you as well. But to have a mandate like that, to not be able to go, I mean, my friends in Illinois were not able to go to Lifetime Fitness because, they needed to show proof of vaccine. In what world is that called freedom? That is not an American way of living. That is not what our forefathers wrote the Constitution for. That is not what they fought for. We fled from that years ago. How did we get back to it? Influencers who the left is paying, the left is targeting our young people. And unfortunately, our young people are falling for it. And we, as conservatives, need to come up with a better plan. We need to be able to come up with the truth. The truth does not need any defense. We need to expose the truth. And I'm grateful to President Trump for everything he's doing to expose the truth. I just hope that it starts resonating with people, especially young people. But New York is going to be an excellent example, I think, for the entire country. And I hear San Francisco may go in the same direction. So let's see what happens.
Gloria, I have to ask, you work closely with young conservatives. What gives you hope when you do work with these young conservatives about the next generation that's going to be stepping into leadership roles in a country that feels not only divided and almost hostile to any type of conservative values, but a country where a lot of the younger people today have been conditioned to despise the place they come from? But when you work with these young people, what gives you the hope?
Well, what gives me hope is I started an organization called the Reagan Society. I started it in Tennessee. The Reagan Society brings conservative speakers into Tennessee, but I make it affordable for everyone to be able to be a part of the conversation. So, Borders, our Tom Homan, kicked off the Reagan Society, and we were able.
It's a good guest to have.
He was great. I loved Tom, and always will support him. And we should keep him in our prayers. And so I'm making it affordable for young people. It's $25 if you're under the age of 40, and it's $50 if you're over the age of 40. So we're keeping it affordable. I mean, not every Republican voter can afford $100,000 to shake, a hand of one of our elected officials. So I think it's important that we keep it affordable. And the response that I've received from people, especially young people, is amazing. They want to attend conservative events. It's financially impossible for them to attend many of them. And I'm very proud of the fact that the state of Tennessee sent more young Republicans to the convention that I was at than anybody else in the country. And that gives me hope. What also gives me hope is this month, the Reagan Society is hosting we have a congressional race in our 7th district. And we have a very conservative man running, Matt Van Epps. And we have a communist running for the Democrats, but she's a communist. And what I'm doing is the Reagan Society is hosting an event with 3 young people. And they are going to be doing a panel discussion and talking about what it is that makes freedom different from communism and why it is that they're fighting for freedom. One is going to be speaking specifically on the Second Amendment. We have one young lady who's going to be speaking on the freedoms of what women have that women don't have in other countries. And we do have a young woman from Turning Point joining us as well, who will bring their perspective to the table. And it's amazing to me that I do have young people who actually understand what I'm talking about, but they're willing to listen. Herman Cain told me a long time ago that not everyone is willing to receive the message. And I do think that many people are afraid of receiving the message. Many people are afraid of hearing people who speak out. So I do think the greatest issue I have is the fear factor. I mean, when I speak in other states, I speak throughout the country. When I speak in other states, they do hire security for me because it's that bad. And you and I are living in a country where opening your mouth, being a conservative, sharing the gospel, sharing the truth, sharing the scripture will get you killed, as our friend Charlie was killed. That's frightening.
Yeah, when you put it that way, it's eye-opening. Now, it is important, and it's so great that you get young conservatives involved. Obviously, they need to be more active and engaged. We need them out there. At the same time, it's also important to begin to reach other people. So in your organization, are you starting to see some independents show up and maybe disaffected Democrats that don't like the direction that the Democratic Party is headed in?
Unfortunately, I do not have Democrats showing up. We would welcome them to the table. We would love to have them speak. I do have Democrats who protest about the events that I do, though, and so as expected. And I do have Democrats who send me very nasty messages. But no, I do not have Democrats like that. Now, as you know, I'm originally from Illinois, from just outside of Chicago. And ICE is up there right now. And if you're driving a black truck that's got blacked out, tinted glass, they think you're ICE. And there are actually people, which I was shocked about, standing on streets, blowing whistles when they see one of these trucks go by. They are attacking ICE. They're attacking our officials. They're attacking people who are doing the right thing. And they are actually hiding illegals in Illinois. And I mean, how Pritzker gets reelected. I mean, I'm part of the Illinois Federation of Republican Women. So how people can vote for someone who is allowing illegals to be employed, not pay taxes. And we're paying, let's be honest, we're paying for their health care. We're paying for everything that they need, their food. They're all on SNAP. I mean, SNAP benefits they were aiding illegals. How can we allow that in our country? So, I mean,
Well, it's simple. I mean, between all the loopholes on the federal level, then you have the sanctuary states that divert funding from other programs to do it. It shows you how many of them actually put other people before American citizens, before the people that they took an oath to serve. And it really is disappointing to see that Democrats aren't showing up to organizations just to get information. Because I do speak to Democrats. Obviously, I'm in liberal academia, so I'm surrounded by them. And there are Democrats that I do see attend events here in New York State. And it's funny because when Democrats attend conservative or Republican events, they're always treated with respect and dignity. Even if you don't agree on all the issues and policies, there's never any heated arguments or debates. They're treated very nicely. But when a Republican or conservative goes to a Democratic, gathering, or you see attacks, the knives come out, and in some cases it gets really heated. So what's your biggest takeaway that you think the audience should be aware of? What do you think the audience should be doing in order to preserve the United States of America?
I think the biggest thing the audience could be doing is voting red. Get out there and vote. The biggest issue I feel that Republicans have is we do not have enough people who actually get out and vote. We need to vote.
As witnessed in November's election.
Exactly. We don't. I mean, we just, especially, special elections like we're having here in December here in Tennessee. Primaries. Get involved in your primaries. I mean, get involved in your school system. I mean, I feel that all politics begins at the lowest levels. And you have to, I mean, you have to get involved in what's going on in your community, what's going on outside your front door, and then work your way up. I mean, we need to come together we have there's a lot of different factions of Republicans right now. But if we want to keep a free country, we need to come together now. And we need to work on the same team, get on the same team with us. We're not all going to be as conservative as you and I, perhaps, but let's all get on the same team. We're all basically in this together. We do not want to live in a communist country. So if we want to have our freedoms preserved after President Trump is gone, he is doing it for us now. He's holding the line. He's doing a great job for us now. But we need to save Congress for him. Otherwise, he will not be effective. So we need to be able to get the message out. The midterms are around the corner. We need to fight for every Republican running. But we do need to speak out. We need to trust God that he is going to protect us. And we need to be out there speaking. And it's not just young people, though. It's a lot of middle-aged people who are also going along with Democrats. And they don't see it in front of them. And it's very frightening to me that, yes, they are more glued to their phones than they are to real life.
Yeah, and the reality is that people haven't been taught about civic engagement and their civic responsibilities within the system. And that's been decades in the making that they haven't done that. And so that's why you see the lack of participation. Mm-hmm. But in any event, everyone, you need to understand how deep this problem goes. Gloria, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much, Nick. Great seeing you too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the P.A.S. Report. Don't forget to rate, share, and hit that subscribe button. That way you'll never miss an episode. For more exclusive content and updates, visit us at PASreport.com and follow Professor Giordano on all social media platforms at P.A.S. Report.